Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm about to show you is going to make your jaw drop, flat out. CNN just openly said that the darker parts of the Democratic Party were influencing Kamala, and the darker part she's talking about is overlooking Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. I'm about to walk you through the entire thing. CNN, of all places, is saying some pretty quiet parts pretty freaking loud. I'm going to show you everything. It's linked in the description box below if you want to watch the entire thing. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on as we are pushing our gun rights forward every single day in election and out of election season because we got a big mission in front of us. But with that said, let me bring up the goodness. You guys know who this is. This is Van Jones. And the guy on the left is Chris Acosta. Not conservatives. Chris Acosta is the guy who constantly fought with Trump, and he's an abject anti-Trumper leftist. And Van Jones is literally a Democrat mouthpiece. It's exactly what he is, all right? Listen to this title. CNN's Van Jones suggests Kamala Harris caved into the darker parts of the Democratic Party with VP pick. Now, we're talking about Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, in contrast to Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania. I'm going to walk you through everything, but CNN is about to lay out a pretty hefty case as why every single metric that you want as a VP contender, Josh Shapiro made, except for one pretty important one. The dark part, yeah, we're about to expose that. Let's jump right into this because this is who you are fighting. I'm going to scroll right down to his actual verbiage here. Let's get the actual clip. I'll let Van tell you himself. Check this out. Then we'll go to the actual data.
Sour grapes here, and that Shapiro is not going to offer his full support.
Look, Josh Shapiro is a class act from beginning to end. He's a rising star in this party. He's done an extraordinary job. He gets Republican votes, independent votes, moderate votes. Smurfs vote for him. Muppets vote for him. I mean, the guy is a vote magnet, and there's a reason for that. He is a class act. He's a true American. And
I'm just going to pause it real quick. So let me get this straight. You have to have Pennsylvania to win. You're Kamala Harris. You have to. He's a sitting governor with a tremendously positive approval rating. He, quote, everybody votes for him. He's a vote magnet. Republicans, independents, Democrats, and you don't pick him. Yeah, we're going to get to even more in a second. Let's continue. I just wanted to highlight that one little point. I thought that was interesting how much of a class act he is, and yet he didn't get it. Anyway.
And he's going to show up, and he's going to...
Do you think it was a little risky, though, Van, that she didn't go with Shapiro to kind of lock down Pennsylvania? I mean, yes, David Challenger was saying earlier, just because you pick him as your running mate doesn't mean you automatically win Pennsylvania. But I got to think it would have helped just a little bit.
Hey, listen, the conservatives, the right wing, the Republicans, they were chewing their fingernails down to the knuckle because they were afraid of a Josh Shapiro. They were afraid of a Mark Kelly. They're not as afraid of this new governor because they think they can define him. So here's the challenge you got in this party. And people don't want to talk about it. We got to talk about it.
All right, this is the payoff coming in a second, but I want to address this really quickly. Republicans were nervous about Josh Shapiro. I can speak firsthand. That's absolutely true. Because Josh Shapiro did appeal to Republicans, independents, and Democrats, and he was viewed as a moderate, and he was in a swing state of Pennsylvania that she had to have. Again, understand, this is in the fight for our gun rights, because this is the most extreme gun control ticket you're ever going to see between Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. Massive. Okay? So as we go into this, yeah, they were concerned, but they're not anymore. That speaks to a lot. Let me show you the dark part he's about to hit. This is crazy, okay?
On the one hand, you have a lot of young people who are concerned about Gaza. You have a lot of Muslims and Arabs and others. They have not felt seen by the Biden administration. You start hearing that genocide joke. That was building. And so those folks needed to have a candidate that they could feel comfortable with. This helps them in that regard. But you also have anti-Semitism that's gotten marbled into this party. You can be for the Palestinians without being an anti-Jewish bigot, but there are some anti-Jewish bigots out there. And
hold the phone. The Party of Inclusion, that's, by the way, aiming to take our gun rights as much as they possibly can, as much as they can wiggle room through executive, judicial, or legislative. The Party of Inclusion, the mouthpiece for the Democrats, just said on CNN that there are anti-Israel bigots in the Democratic Party, and that played a role in not choosing the one person that would make the most sense electorally? You understand how important that is? Let's continue, and then we're going to get to the data. Again, this is not the only thing I've got for you.
And there's some disquiet now, and there has to be. How much of what just happened is caving into some of these darker parts in the party? So that's going to have to get worked out. It's going to have to get talked through. But I tell you what, if you have a Josh Shapiro who says, you know what, I give this my stamp, I give this my support, I believe in this ticket, that's going to help a great deal. And Josh Shapiro has a magnificent future in this party regardless. But this is it's mostly positive. You're seeing mostly enthusiasm, but there is some disquiet conversation we got to have inside this party.
All right. So I'm going to jump over to the next part of this to give you guys an idea what we're going to hit next. You understand what he just said? There's an anti-Semitism in the darker parts of the Democratic Party that Kamala Harris just caved to. What that translates to in a real world, she didn't want to pick Josh Shapiro because of his lineage, because of his biology, because of his race. It's not me saying it. Van Jones just said it. This is pretty damning, particularly when a large voting bloc in the Democrat Party are Jewish Americans. Guys, I don't know how this continues to go. Well, we got to have the conversation. You just said it was marbled through and there are some anti-Israel bigots in the Democrat Party. That kind of undermines a lot of points. Anyway, let's keep going. Again, this is all oriented towards defeating Harris and Walz. This is absolute fair game. Let me show you this. The math behind why Harris picked Walz and why she may regret it. This is reinforcing what Van Jones just said. This is made by Harry Enton, or written by Harry Enton from CNN. This is the guy who does all the polling. Let me zoom down to a few points that I've highlighted for you because this reinforces that exact point. Make sure I didn't skip that. Okay, good. The fact that Harris selected a candidate who does well online shouldn't be surprising. This is the campaign that has embraced Coconut Tree and Brat, talking about the online youth vote push. Harris has also done very well on TikTok, which is something Joe Biden's campaign couldn't do. But is the Walz pick indicative of a campaign that is too online? That's a fair question, given that Harris skipped over Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro in favor of Walz. Shapiro, who was long seen as a frontrunner for the VP pick, divided a lot on the online left over his perceived views on the Israelis and Palestinians. You seeing where this is going? Notably, Walz shares many of those same views on the issues, but received far less backlash than Shapiro, who is Jewish. So Walz has the same views as the guy from Pennsylvania, who, as Van Jones just told you, everyone will vote for, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, and it's a swing state that you have to win, holds the exact same views as the guy you selected. And the only differentiator is race. Well, this is getting a little uncomfy. Let's continue. Again, this is CNN. This is not me. I'm just reporting it to you. A selection not without risk. Again, talking about Walz. As we get into this, they're going to lay the case more and more why it did not make sense to skip over Shapiro. The big question now is whether Harris left points on the board by choosing Walz instead of Shapiro, meaning lost Pennsylvania or not. Pennsylvania, on the other hand, is certainly a must-win state for Harris if she wants to be president. In fact, it is probably the most important swing state this cycle, and the polling there has been very tight. Again, very tight. Sitting governor, 61% approval. Shapiro currently holds a 61% favorable rating in Pennsylvania and outperformed Biden's 2020 baseline by 14 points in 2022. Just waiting for the point where this doesn't make sense. Whether that would have been enough to propel a Harris-Shapiro ticket in Pennsylvania this fall is a question mark, though political science literature suggests it very well could have. If Harris ends up losing Pennsylvania in the election by a small margin, it will be one of history's great what-ifs. Did she not choose Shapiro because she was afraid of the online left? Now let me break this all down and tie it all together for you in a bigger screen so we can be all close and cozy. What these two articles are saying, Van Jones, there is an anti-Israel bigotry in the Democrat Party. Kamala Harris caved to that part of the party. Harry Enton from CNN, the analysis shows that electorally and on paper, this makes no sense. And if they lose by a small margin, they will always wonder if they pick Shapiro, will they have won? Every single indicator pointed directly to Josh Shapiro. And the only one that didn't was the online left, where Kamala Harris is flooding the airwaves, going after the female and the youth vote. And all of a sudden, the far left on the online space dictated the candidacy and how far left that they went. They are now in a position where they could lose this based off of losing Pennsylvania, which is where she could have chosen the governor, because, as they are implying, there's an anti-Israel bigotry inside the Democrat Party. Yes, the party of inclusion. And wouldn't it be sweet if our gun rights dodged the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz bullet because they made a choice based on race? Yeah, it'd be sweet. Everything I've got for you is linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think, and I've got another one coming tonight, also right up your alley, and I will see you then.